Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner. Today is the 26th of 7th and this is the daily technical update, and we'll kick it off with Apple. But first I have to say there will be no technical update Monday. I will be traveling, so I'll see you back again Tuesday next week. But let's have a look at Apple that a couple of weeks ago formed this kind of an island reversal candlestick pattern. Where you can see it spiked higher, and then it actually jumped higher, gapped higher and gapped lower, and then it sold off, and that also resulted in a big bearish engulfing last week, taking out the previous week's trading. So that is a fairly strong top and reversal pattern, and it's going to be interesting here the next couple of days and weeks. Will it actually follow through, which I believe it will. Again, this is only for educational purposes only. There is no recommendation to sell or anything. I mean, the technical picture can change, but as you will see here, we are actually trading around some supports, actually below some supports, and we can also see that we have the RSI in decline, and there's actually been some divergence. You can see these values here are lower than these ones over here, and so we are in exhaustion mode. We could still see updates, of course. It's not about a crash or anything, but just be aware that I don't think we'll see a new high in any time soon, at least. I think we'll see a larger correction. Look out for support around 206.5. If it takes out that, well, then there could be a further downside for Apple. Moving on to the broader markets, we have S&P 500 that are also sold off yesterday. They actually tried to climb higher to begin with, but sold off. And it seems like we are going to test the 5,340 level. Around here we have some support. The RSI actually did close below 40, so we're actually in a negative sentiment at the moment, and I think we could dip to around these levels, and then I think we will bounce. Of course, it probably won't be in a straight line, so we can still see a little bit of this. Currently we are indicated 0.5% up, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have a little bit of a positive day today. Nasdaq sold off massively also yesterday. Ended only at 1% down, but at the one point it was actually in positive territory. But now we have sold off again, just about 100 moving average. I don't have any support until the cloud support, which is 18,500, and possibly dipping down to 18,333. There will also be updates here, of course, but we are in a bearish trend with a negative sentiment on the RSI pointing lower. The EUROSTOXX 50 here in Europe bounced off 4,775 support, so it didn't actually close the gap. I mean, it closed it and then it didn't close it, so it should close below for a proper close. So now we are. And I think we'll just remove this one. So now we are dancing around the 48.12 resistance support area. If we can close back above, then we can get a little bit of a rebound, maybe towards 4900. But if it closes below 47.75, well, then expect lower levels on EUROSTOXX 50. DAX was more calm. A little bit lower today, trying to get back above the cloud here. Not really successful. We are still in a positive sentiment, so we are hanging by a thread really for DAX there. I don't have any support levels until 17,875. I know it's a bit far away, but if it takes out the low from yesterday at 18,099, well, then expect another sell-off lower. AEX Amsterdam, that has been in trouble lately, primarily due to ASML, the semiconductor sell-off we have seen. And please check out my semiconductor special edition, video edition yesterday. I'm looking at short and medium term outlook there. I think myself thinks it's a great piece, so have a look at it and see all the semiconductors, or not all of them, but most traded ones. We had the AEX dipping below 892, but actually closed back above 897, and actually just above just below the 900, and now we are trying to get back above 900. If it can do that, well, then there could be a little bit of relief rally, but it really needs to get back above 924 upside potential. CAC 40 that got hammered yesterday actually bounced strongly and formed this hammer-like pattern, so that could actually be a bottom and reversal. So we could see a little bit of a rebound higher towards 7,500, 7,600 maybe even. So we could be in for a little bit of reversal there. We can also see that the divergence on the RSI indicating downtrend exhaustion, at least on the short term. Swiss market, in this range here between 12,150 and 11,955, that is the range that needs to break for either going back to being a bullish or bearish. There's divergence on the RSI indicating we are likely to drop lower, but I want confirmation. On the FX market, well, the euro dollar is still fairly quiet, dancing around the 38.2 retracement at 108.40. I think we will see it slowly crawling higher towards 109 again. We have the moving averages, as we talked about, pointing higher. There was some strong movements in euro sterling, strong bounce off this 84 level, and actually took out this little spike here, meaning that seems like we are maybe trying to build an uptrend very short term. I think we could see a move towards the 61.8 retracement at 84.55, maybe even to 84.75. I'm not quite sure about that. If it slides back below 84.25, then we could see another test of the 84 level. Cable, sterling dollar. Is it bouncing off the 21, or are we moving lower? There's still downside risk to the 61.8 retracement at 127.80. Strong support. If it drops down there, then I think we'll see a strong bounce back. The yen pairs again on the move yesterday, massive spikes down. We had dollar yen reaching 151.85. That was a support we talked about yesterday, and just above the 200 moving average, and a very strong bounce. I think we will see dollar yen bouncing further. Let's remove this one. I think it will bounce further, and we can add a Fibonacci retracement to get an estimate of how much maybe. So up to 155.75 at 38.2 retracement seems to be likely here in the coming days. If it takes out yesterday's low, well, then expect further sell-off towards 150. Euro yen also a very strong bounce, just very few cents from 164.65 support, just around 165 there. Also a hammer-like candle, so very strong bounce, and I think we'll see a bounce higher here maybe later today and early Monday morning trading. It could be expected. I think we will possibly move up to the 168.80 level. On Aussie yen, also quite a lot of activity dancing around the lower rising trend line, dipped below the 99.91 support and the 200 moving average, but bounced strongly, and I think we will see also here a nice bounce in the today and starting and next week, at least up to around 103 level. Sterling yen spiked below the lower rising trend line there, and it just touched the lower part of the cloud, as you can see. Didn't get all the way down to the 786 retracement, and now and it closed back above the support on 197.65, and that's where we are at the moment. Also here I would add a Fibonacci retracement, and I think we could see maybe a bounce up to around 200 in going into next week. Aussie dollar trying to get back above the 65.58 now resistance. Actually stayed in the cloud, just on the brim of it, just on the edge here, spike below, and I think we could also here bounce back in coming days. It has been a massive sell-off, and we should see a correction the other way to 66.25, maybe a little bit higher. If we get back above 66.5, then uptrend could resume, but I'm not quite sure that will be the case. If it takes out yesterday's low, well, expect further selling down to around 64.5. Dollar Canada almost back to the 161.8 projection of this correction here, 138.50. Expect a little bit of a setback. I think it could test the 137.85 support. Now it's a support, it was resistance, and then we will have another go higher. Moving on to EURUSD, spiked lower yesterday. Let's remove this one, it's obsolete now. Just below the 786 retracement at 95.40. Almost all the way down to 95. We didn't quite get there. However, we are still in a negative sentiment, so we could see further downside, but I think we will see a little bit of reaction above 96, maybe a little bit higher, and then maybe we could see another sell-off low. What we could see at 55 moving average has crossed over the 200, so it's kind of putting a pressure on it. The dollar Swiss closed yesterday below 88.25, and we are in a downtrend, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, negative sentiment, but there is divergence, so it's not clear-cut picture. However, there is risk down to around 87.30. There's no support until then. Well, we get there, let's see, but that is the risk. Finally, the dollar index, we have still below the 104.25, 104.28. It needs to break back above that for upside potential. Otherwise, I think it will slide lower here, and we are still in a downtrend. Moving on to gold, that sold off below its support at 23.88. Let's just give it a little bit more there. And we are actually dipping below and trading around the 61.8 retracement, just below the 55 moving average. There is risk down to the 786 retracement at 23.44, but I'm not quite sure we'll get there because we still have positive sentiment on the RSI. It hasn't closed below 40, but there is a risk that it could dip to that, and then I think we'll see a strong bounce. If it moves back above 23.88, expect uptrend to resume. The silver dipped just to the 786 retracement at 27.40. We are in a downtrend, so it could continue lower. We are below the support at 27.75. I think we could see it dropping lower, and there is downside risk to 26 level where we have the 200 moving average coming up. Still, be aware there could be some counter trends short term trying to get back above 28.60 level, but for now it looks a little bit heavy. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, expect lower levels on silver. Copper seems to maybe having a floor at the moment. It couldn't get all the way down to 400. There's still that risk that it could dip to that because there's no divergence on the RSI showing negative sentiment. So there is a risk down to below 400 before a bounce in this consolidation area here. However, if that was the low, it is not a clear-cut signal, then we could see a bounce up to around 430 in going into next week. Moving on to the energy market, we have WTI and also, by the way, Brent, which we're going to look at, dipping below this 61.8 retracement a couple of times, almost down to the, well, halfway down to the 7.86, but I didn't get all the way down there. Didn't close below the cloud and bounced strongly yesterday. I think we could see it being, it's going to be tough to get back up towards 80 and above 80, but if it does get above 80, then expect further upside, but be a little bit cautious if you're trading oil. It is very volatile and can't really make up its mind. We are in a negative sentiment, so we could see minor sell off again. Same with Brent, and sometimes that's what it is. There's no clear-cut picture really, and same picture here on Brent. Finally, US 10-year, not much to report today. Had this sell off yesterday here, trying to get back higher. If it does, I think we only get to around 130, and then we will slide back lower. All right, that's all for now. Have a nice day, have a nice weekend. Talk to you again Tuesday.